the dog out. That's what I thought you were coming
Tech
out for.
support
Thank
on
you.
Monday. There you go. You're back up.
I'm back. Okay. Sorry. That one. Nope. Yep. You are. That's
The hell?
not you. Are you up here?
There we go.
Nope. Sorry, I have a lot of minis on Hero Forge. 1 second.
Disregard, sir. I actually just found mine. So, are you ready to proceed, or do you need another second?
No, you're good. I wanted to pull it up for the stream, but
Okay, yeah,
I'm
fair,
not.
man. Go ahead.
Maybe
Here.
I'm not
Let
seeing
me
it for some
see.
reason, which is weird because I
Where?
printed it, so I should have it.
Let me. Where's the?
Is he named Cibo?
Cibo, yeah.
Like the mini is named Cibo?
Should be, yes.
I must not have saved it to my heroes. That's super weird. Usually I do.
Hang on. Let me go in again and look at what he is actually in here as. So I have him on Hero Forge as Goblin Alchemist. So.
Goblin Alchemist. Nope. Anyway, okay.
Okay. So, looking out the window at you is a kind of lime green, undersized head for what you originally thought was a human, but long, pointy, damaged ears sticking out from both sides, dark brown hair, and a beard and mustache. Actually wearing pretty civilized clothing for being a goblin. Initial impression is probably like, who did you steal that from? Or, you know, what privilege did you come from, or something like that. It's out of place for a goblin. Completely black eyes just kind of blink at you, but they don't look like the look on my face isn't sinister. It's not like I'm hiding. I'm just kind of looking out like, oh, what's going on?
There you go.
Hello? Who goes there?
This is you, Migs.
What?
You're the person who just collapsed off their horse outside of his hut.
Okay. My name is Sarah. But she's supposed to be like near death.
Yes.
I will crawl out of the window.
Mm-hmm.
And in my hands, if you said your name is Sarah?
Yeah.
In my hands, if your character has the strength to look up, you can see that I'm not actually holding weapons. I have potions dangling on a string.
Oh.
Are
Thank
you
you.
all right? What has happened to you, child?
How are you wounded, Sarah?
She was
It
unarmed.
doesn't say.
I couldn't help it. Sorry.
She was unarmed.
Call back.
Sorry. My bad. I'll stop.
It could
I
be.
don't know.
It could be from war, but it could also be from just normal farming. Like maybe a horse kicked you and it maybe hit you in the chest, or you fell off of a roof doing like roofing work. We're gonna say that. Let's say that. Let's say that you fell off a roof doing roofing work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rethatching the roof.
Yeah.
I will not harm you. Will you let me approach you?
Yes.
So as I get up to her, I'll just kind of look her over. Does she have visible wounds? Is it like spreading internal bleeding? Is it broken bones?
So now that you're moving up closer, and there's something that I should mention because it hasn't come up before. We haven't really talked. You guys haven't really gotten wounded yet, so we haven't really talked about it. But normal D&D 5e, the act of sleeping is an instant restorative. It heals you of all of your hit points. It heals you of all of major injuries. You wake up in the morning refreshed. So that's not a thing for the game that we're going to be playing. You will take time to heal under normal circumstances. Most people, for example Sarah, if she slept just outside the hut, just kind of tucked in, she wouldn't be fully healed the next morning. There's a reason that there are hospitals. There's a reason why there are doctors. If everyone just healed overnight, then there would be no need for either of those things. A cleric's job would be to make sure that you were stabilized until midnight. And that's not going to be the case.
Just scared me.
Yeah. So, I waited to tell you this because I didn't want it to change people's opinions or what they wanted to play.
I did not agree to this. I'm just
Mhm.
kidding. It's fine.
However,
So what you're
Now I'm
saying
gonna
is Mark
push
can't
Mark off a
cliff.
cliff instead of
Yep,
waiting for him to
that.
jump.
yeah, and that's why he
I was
didn't
gonna
agree to
say.
this.
No more
However,
cliff jumping, Mark.
so that I'm not freaking out anybody who is planning on playing a cleric or a bard or the people that have healing powers, please note that this is not the end of this sentence. As we move forward in the game, there are other things taking the place of not healing overnight. So it shouldn't change things drastically. However, it is important to note that healing over, like going, oh man, my arm got lopped off and my insides are on the outside, but I just need a good rest. Blink, and you appear fully 3D printed, fully healthy.
Should I point out that that's not quite how it works?
I signed up for Baldur's Gate 3, sir.
But I get your point.
As narrated by Daniel, aka Matt Mercer.
Okay, so that being the case, you have found a very wounded woman. Please give me a give me a perception check. It'll be in your skills list.
Oh, yeah. I don't have any points in that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Do you have points in medicine?
I see why you want the
As a matter of fact,
character sheets.
let's not do perception.
I
Let's do.
don't have any in medicine either.
Right.
Could I do nature?
You could do intelligence.
Yeah, let's do
Don't
that.
have that either.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
As an artificer,
Just remember
who
who's
focuses
brewing
in
your
that-
potion, smartass. Let's see, 15.
Okay. As you kind of start moving up, you see that she is knocking on death's door. The entire front of her torso is caked in layers of bandages and dried blood. It goes down one of her legs, and you can see that the same leg on the same side is splinted really roughly. You're not sure
Jesus,
even
what kind of roofing were you doing?
how she
Why
got.
was she on the roof after that?
Extreme roofing.
The way she looks, the roof was on her.
That's
I
why
love
it needed
Dan. Keep
repair.
going.
You're not even sure how she got on the horse to begin with. or why she would come all the way out here. Most of the villages in the area take care of themselves, and you know this because you've been here for probably 9-10 months, kind of just
Child,
doing
it
your
is
own
a
thing.
fool's errand to try to survive out here.
I will pull out a potion of healing
Mm-hmm.
and just kind of cradle the back of her head and hold it up and try to get the potion to spill into her mouth without waterboarding her.
Small sips, child. It will take some time, but it will help.
As you kind of cough up, Megan, as you kind of cough up the strange alchemical mixture that he's having you drink, it tastes bitter, but bitter like unripened fruit, not bitter like chemicals that are mixed together. But you're able to kind of get it down, and almost immediately the relief from the pain puts you out. Like, you've been in such pain for so long that just the relief from that pain, you can see your eyes kind of flutter and darkness comes around you. But over the course of the trip you've been taking, that's happened to you. But it's always been a chilling cold while your vision went down to a focus point. This is more like a warm embrace as your vision kind of goes foggy instead. So, where you were actually afraid you were going to fall off the horse and drown in the swamp, here you're almost appreciative of the comfort away from that pain. Cibo, as you are kind of her head lifted up, maybe on a leg, and giving her this potion, you're back several years ago, when you were a young goblin, a small
I
goblin.
immediately throw myself off a cliff.
Nice, nice. Sorry, Megan, your character died because there was no one in the hut. You are also pouring chemicals, pouring a health potion, but a very mediocre health potion, both for want of resources and for your own abilities. You've been experimenting with this brew for a while because your clan hasn't had a healer other than the old shaman who doesn't really heal people. She kind of gives them things to make them feel better so that they can pass on gently versus trying to actively bring them back. And
Comfort
so,
versus cure.
yes. And so you are brought back to a moment where, again, there's a head on your lap, and you are helping someone, another small goblin who is part of your broodlings, goblins, that also is wounded, and ironically also from a fall. Solaris, you were climbing and scouting. That's really what's best for young goblins. Both you and Cibo kind of have grown up together, and you're, if not friends, you are like the cousins that hang out at a family gathering because you have something in common. You have in common that you're from the same age group. You know, Cibo has always been a studier. Anything he can get his hands on. Always experimenting. Sometimes you see him and he has no eyebrows. Sometimes you see him and it's obvious that his face has been burnt in a star pattern from something he had his face way too close to. But this time, you're glad for his machinations?
Mhm.
Yeah. Because you can already feel the bone of your leg knitting back together and the wound closing. It wasn't much damage other than the broken leg, and this potion tasted like burnt jerky, but you're feeling better already.
Thank you, Cibo. Oh, this potion tastes a lot better than the last one you made.
It was simply because some bat guano fell into the pot. It was not my fault.
Well,
Rest.
and he like you tell me to rest, and I kind of like push aside your hand and like try and stand up on the like now healed leg and kind of give it a little stretch.
It feels
Stubborn as ever you are.
it's a little weaker at the moment, but I mean you've been through stuff like this before, and at least you're not being laid down in the hospice with the shaman who will make sure you're comfortable. This will help you be out there and be a good scout and be ready to go.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Do I have a bow?
Yeah.
So I'll unstring it and use it as a cane to like. All right, let's to like help support myself a little
Okay.
bit, like a walking stick, and be like, all right, let's keep going. We gotta. Are we like in the mountains or something? Or
Yeah.
no, we're underground, right?
You're underground, yeah, but you're scouting a path that is a relatively new path. It's being dug up to the edge of Gar, the kingdom that you guys are at war with, and it's not quite there yet. But rocks tumbled in because they didn't put the right supports in the right place, and that's what got you.
Yeah, this place is unstable, and it's probably gonna be more rock slides. So we should probably find a better place to camp.
Agreed. Let's get out of here before we are buried like the rest of this place.
Cool, then yeah, we'll move on.
You keep walking, and the camera kind of shifts down to the path that you're walking and then back up, and you're walking in the same tunnel, but this time, Celeris, you have some pretty well-made goblin leather armor, 2 short swords on your back, with a goblin shield covering them. Cibo is almost a very obvious juxtaposition from you. He's not dressed up in armor. He doesn't have. What weapons would you have at this point, Cibo?
Let me go back and look. I have I have bombs, I have alchemist fire, and I have a light crossbow and a dagger.
Okay, so you have a crossbow and a dagger. You don't have bombs yet. That's something that you're still working on, but you probably
That
have
hasn't come up yet.
Yeah, you probably have some alchemist fire. Yeah, and so he is not armored, and that's one of the jobs that you've been given is to protect him. And you're looking for structural weaknesses and such for this new open tunnel that leads beneath Gar, Cibo. And goblins are moving all around you, carrying supplies up the path and then back down in these huge, heavy carts that rattle and clink by.
You said they're moving the supplies up the tunnel.
Yeah, they're moving
They're
supplies
moving it out.
more to the edge so that they're readily at hand when you guys need them, when the raiding forces need them.
Oh, so they're like creating a new base camp.
Yeah, which was
Okay.
actually a suggestion of Solaris, tactically, to make sure that things were ready at hand. It used to be smaller, younger goblins would just carry everything extra so that it was at hand when the soldiers needed it, instead of just having the stuff closer.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna ask what did. So we're gonna move ahead. Obviously, like we're still a little slow. Is there a way to do like a perception check? to is it perception or like nature, like to kind of judge, like just to keep an eye out for more cave-in sections.
So as you guys are walking, you're keeping an eye out around you. That I would say nature, and for you that's going to be a +2.
17.
Oh wow. The when they opened this cave up, you're remembering back to when you and Cibo were walking through this cave, this shaft before it was done, and it's been widened. More structures have been put up inside of it to hold up areas. And as you're walking, there are areas you can see that have a little bit more moisture than others, or that have crevices that have started to open up. But you also see that many of these areas have been painted white. Like there's a big white mark next to it so that they know, the engineers know to look out for it. I use the term engineers loosely because they aren't really engineers, but
Okay, in particular, I want to keep an eye on any of those ones with like opening crevices because stuff pops out of things like that.
okay. True. As you're making your way up there, you hear two goblins that are walking in front of you. They're not pushing a cart, which is strange because most are. But these two younger goblins are talking about how excited they are for the raid, because raids allow you to eat things that aren't moss and whatever small rodents and stuff that you find down here. They allow you to eat different, better foods, fresher water, and have fun on the surface. They seem to be glossing over the actual part where there's fighting, though. And it's obvious to you, especially Solaris, that they've never been in combat. They've never been in battle.
Well, I'll like signal to Chibo to like keep quiet and let him know like that there's goblins ahead of us, and then I'll like set my the bow down and draw a sword and shield.
Oh, you're also a goblin.
We're both goblins.
I thought this was like warring goblins.
Oh
Never
no,
mind.
I'm sorry. I should
Mm-mm.
have made that more clear.
No, these are part of the supply runners, right?
Yeah.
The people that are
So
moving
you're at
materials.
war. You're at war with a human kingdom.
Yeah, it's because you said that they weren't moving materials. That's why I thought, oh, these are
Okay.
probably enemy goblins then.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take it all
good
back.
catch.
That's that was an intrusive thought from Solaris. Just like I'm gonna fuck these goblins up.
I'm gonna.
Sorry. Yeah, when they come around the corner, I'm gonna ask them where their supplies are. Like where did they leave them?
We
Or their cart.
and they run off back towards to get more supplies.
Can't hear you.
Did I?
Yeah, you can't hear him either.
I heard. Thank you.
He's working on it.
How about now?
Yes.
Can hear
That
you.
is so strange. Why does it keep doing that?
You've used those headphones since like this weekend, right?
No.
I might have tried to borrow them, so I might have plugged them in the wrong spot.
No, they're plugged in the right spot, and Discord is saying that that's what's selected of all of my options. I also checked to make sure that stuff was still streaming. Yeah, stuff is still streaming. I don't know. Yeah, just keep letting me know.
Okay.
Um, That's where we were here. At what point did I cut off?
When you told me that they were friendly goblins.
Oh, okay. So, when you said where are your supplies, they essentially Mark just dropped. They essentially said, and then ran off back towards the supply point, further in towards the tunnels to grab more supplies. They once you came around the corner and they saw who you were, they recognized you, and it seems that either through fear or prowess, you have definitely made a made a brain
Name for yourself.
name for yourself. Jeez Louise. Okay.
This isn't. Is this gonna be your first raid?
Are you asking me?
Asking the goblins.
Oh, them. Yeah.
Other goblins.
You guys have all you guys have both been raised before. You're probably older teenage goblins at this point, and you've been through plenty of raids. And so it's not a surprise, really. You know that younger goblins who have not been through raids tend to get excited. You guys got excited about your first raids too, but
Okay. I don't know. I guess do an insight on them to see, like, looking at like the way they have gear on them. Does it look like there's anything like with the way that like they're wearing their sword belt wrong, or they have like a buckle loose on their armor, stuff like that.
you were like as they were passing you.
Yeah, as they're passing, just so that way, like if I spot something, like I want to like correct it before they go out on the raid.
Okay, so give me why don't you both give me a perception check?
What am I adding?
Oh, sorry. For you, it's gonna be a 3.
Then that's a 20.
Do you want me to roll you said perception?
Yeah.
How's a 19 grab you?
Wow, nice. You saw many things they had wrong from their where their weapon placement was. One of them had his sword strapped to the front of his chest. Like you're not sure how he would even plan on removing that weapon. There's like straps that are undone or disrepair. If they went out the way they look right now, they would probably be a hazard to others. And it was just them coming around the corner that kind of surprised you, that prevented you from probably seeing that first thing.
Are you trying to kill them or us? Both of you are you are a shame. What's the matter with you? Who taught you to strap up for war?
Uncle Throck?
Yeah, that looks like Throck. And then I like start straightening them up and like kind of like walking them through like why the stuff that they were doing is wrong.
Okay. They look sheepish at their feet, and they're doing that thing where you kind of turn your feet on your tiptoes, and they thank you as you put the finishing touches on making sure they're prepped. You're a little surprised, but not really, Cibo. This raid has been a long time coming. While smaller raids during the other tunnels tend to be more common, you're raiding the outskirts of the kingdom, right? So smaller towns, shipping lanes, stuff like that is what you guys are normally doing the raids. You have been digging this tunnel underneath Gar as a group for a very long time. And especially in the past couple months, Cibo, you've been thinking there has to be a faster way. If we could remove more rock than just sending 10 miners up perilously digging at these rocks, then it would be faster and safer for people.
You said I don't have bombs at this point.
Correct.
Okay.
You've heard rumors that they're a thing, but you're not sure how that would work, and you haven't seen any yet.
Does our clan have practicing mages or elementalists of any kind?
They are rare, but there are a couple elementalists, and there's one that she calls herself a drop shaman, but
Okay.
she deals with more like fungi, and she's weird, but she's also been known to cast some magic and some spells as well. And you guys clear up the two younger goblins, and they thank you profusely. And you can hear them whispering loudly. Do you know who those guys were? I can't believe that they talked to us. Yeah.
Before they run off and start gossiping. One of the things for me that is important for Cibo is that he does kind of try to play big brother to the younger goblins. And so before they walk away, I'm just going to remind them.
Mistakes. You must learn from them. Everyone is a lesson. You only fail if you ignore the lesson. Do not forget the things we have given you here today. And it will not just be a single raid that you participate in.
And then I'll point them off to their duties again.
So, I'm going to retcon. They were going away excited and essentially kind of talking as if you guys are celebrities. The whispers in the retcon now are that they are more quiet and more serious, but still talking about what you guys had said and had done for them. Hey, Mark, are you back? Maybe not. I want to make sure that stuff's still working, because that's my life.
Can you hear me now?
I can.
Yes.
Yay. Sorry. Yes, I've been back for a little bit.
Okay.
But apparently my mute was not working.
Yeah, it's dropping me off too. Mine's dropping me off. I don't know why. It's weird. Like my vocals. Okay. So you guys make your way back. Or they make their way there, and you guys finish your walk at the end, which is still about probably a mile from where the tunnel pops up beneath an abandoned church within the kingdom proper. And you're about a mile out, so you know that voices don't carry that far. I mean, they carry far in this cavern system, but not like that far. And you are inspecting, and you can see there's a large amount of supplies here. There's a bunch of goblins that are keeping track of what's available and what has been brought up so far, what still needs to be brought up. Doing the homework, right? Doing the math and logistics. And you see that things look right on. Come the blood moon in about 4 days, then this next raid promises to be a big one.
As we're kind of just like looking out over all this, I like nudge Chibo and it's like, you remember our first raid?
I remember even my first kill. It was an exhilarating and terrible feeling all at once. But what we brought home, the things we were able to do, made it worth it.
It was true. That was one of the largest raids, and one of the things that got you, Cibo, recognition for how quickly you were able to get some of the gobos back on the field. And Solaris got you some of the special rewards from the elders for some of your strategizing and tactical thoughts. You both kind of came away with a lot more rewards than usual for goblins on their first raid. As you guys are kind of looking and taking in what this means, what this new raid and what this new raiding style means, you know that this is really the only large tunnel that goes into Gar. It is one attack spot, right? Everywhere else you guys have, all of your other tunnels lead up to areas throughout the outer areas, not within the walls. This is the first one that actually is within the walls. As you kind of ruminate on that, we are going to change gears. Fire. Lots and lots of fire. Fire and light. There's something in it, though, Cibo. As you are in this space, you are standing on black, sharp stone. You've heard of it. This lava stone, this dragon glass, this sharpened, almost opaque, near translucent stone, and with the fire and liquid fire all around you, you can see light plays across its shiny surface like waves. But the fire here is everywhere, and beings made up of the flame itself of varying colors from orange to blue move about in this space as well. It's strange though, with this much fire, with this much light, because you're a creature of the dark, you're a creature of the underground, you'd think it would hurt you. It would hurt to be looking at all of this light, but for some reason, it doesn't. And there are whispers in the flickering light as it dances across your vision. Whispers in the smoke that should be choking you, but isn't. And you can't quite make them up. In the distance, through the fire, you can see the kingdom of Gar as a golden citadel. You recognize some of its towers from that raid a couple months ago. You can recognize the castle itself, the keep itself, which you never got to see up close. Your raid was never meant to go that far anyway. That raid was a practice raid just to see if you guys could do it. And you had barely any casualties at all, and it really didn't seem like the peoples of Gar knew where you came from or where you went. After that raid, Solaris got even more recognition and a position of power in the goblin ranks. Not really something you're jealous of. It was never something that you really cared to do, rise through the ranks of the goblins. However, it did get you more resources for your potions. But ever since that day, walking up towards the edge of that cavern, the edge of that path, you've been thinking about how you could open these tunnels up faster, how you could distract. Because distraction has always been part of the raids. But if you could make a distraction big enough, if you could have a tool that you use to open up these mines faster. And so in the distance, in this fiery memory, you see the city of Gar, the kingdom of Gar, done up in gold. And then you don't. It's replaced with a brilliant, concussive wave of sound and force. The kingdom itself is no more. These gigantic clouds coming out from the city itself move past and push all of the beings of fire, the beings that were moving around you like elemental spirits, smashing into you. And as they smash into you, they throw your small goblin body back out of the dream, and you wake up laying on your floor. You've obviously fallen off of your bed. And it's apparent that it was a dream. Except you can still smell smoke. And you see that some of your blankets are in fact smoking, smoldering. Just little bits, here and there. As if fireflies from a bonfire landed somewhere on your blanket.
Can I hear anything outside?
Outside of your room, your small offset where your lab is and where your bed is, you hear goblins talking. Somewhere a little bit further away, there's a party of some sort where people are laughing and playing music and drinking. You hear a lot of normal goblin noise.
I'm gonna tear the blankets off the bed.
You see that in the shape of like some kind of star, maybe there is a burn mark, but it's light. It's very, very subtle, and it was smoking until you kind of pat it out.
I will find a notepad and start scribbling down notes.
As you put pencil to paper, it's almost like you're not sure what you're writing. You recognize the symbols, you recognize the ingredients, and the you recognize the words, but you're writing.
It's like I'm writing a language I can't speak.
You're writing a language you can't speak. You're writing an ingredients and equations and things that you've never thought about before. And you can tell what they're for, but you're not sure how it's coming to you. This
Coming soon, fireworks in Dungeons and Dragons.
you're not sure where the instructions are coming from, but pretty soon that's what you've got in front of you. A recipe.
It just says bombs.
It just says bombs. Yeah.
I will make a copy of it.
Mhm.
Save one, like put one somewhere for safekeeping. And then the other one, I will take to Salaris.
Okay. Salaris, an excited, if not, no, an excited.
Elated.
Yeah. Cibo turns up. You have a map outstretched before you that is of several locations that would be good locations in Gar for you guys to come up from below. But the amount of work it would take to make tunnels to those areas, we're talking years.
If Cibo walks in, I'm like muttering to myself, like maybe I just instead of these three, we just kind of focus on one. Maybe we could drop two. Like trying to figure out how I can make the best of this situation and get there sooner.
Mm-hmm.
Salaris, I have a solution. I have a way to fix it. I figured it out. I don't know how, but I have it.
You have what? What? I'm trying to process like what he's saying while still trying to like figure out the map.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Listen, all of the earth we have displaced. We have found a great many things down here we can use, right? Some of those materials can be repurposed for this recipe. It will create displacement of earth on an order of magnitude. We have never done anything like this. It is dangerous, but it will eliminate all of the need for this discussion. You will not have to sit here pining hours away, giving thoughts to strategy. With this, we will be able to think more grandly.
I'm gonna, as he's talking, like I'm holding the recipe and kind of pacing around the table. And then, yeah, you finish with this? And I'm kind of like, just,
yeah.
What is this?
It looks like scribblings to you.
Give me the chance. Give me a crew to get me resources, and I will show you. This is not a dream. This is something that you will find greatness with. No one will question you as a strategist if I can make this work for you.
How long?
Dan, do you want me to roll like intelligence?
Yeah.
16.
You think that if you got the right resources, maybe a week, maybe a week and a half until you have a working prototype, and then you would be able to see how effective it is at mining.
Give me a quarter of a cycle and I can make it happen.
I kind of go through some papers looking at like what resources I have available, and I tell him he has 6.
6 days. I will bring it to you in 5.
Then 4?
5 is the final offer, old friend.
Yeah. You have, if this prototype works, then do you think you could make 2 more?
You will have a prototype to demonstrate, and if that works, and I have everything I need, I'm sure I could make more happen in less time. I just have to make sure it works first.
Then we'll delay.
I will not let you down, old friend.
I can look at the map again. I'm like, I really hope not.
You make your way back to your lab, and true to his word, by the end of the day, you have 2 assistants who are younger goblins that have a good head on their shoulders. They may even be in the makings for an actual apprentice. And with them, a cart of the resources you requested. Um, and from here we get flashes. We get flashes of you hammering out the right casing, making mixtures, an explosion rocking the corner of the cave network that you're in, and then with smoke just billowing out from your lab. The apprentices running off scared, so now it's just you working on the explosions because they weren't warned as to what that would be. After another couple days, the one of them, a young female dwarf named Gwenda, she is brave and is wanting to help you again, and you guys get back to it, and we get more
You
flashes.
said she was a dwarf.
I'm sorry, goblin.
Okay.
Small young goblin.
A dwarf goblin. Got it.
Yeah.
It's only like 6 inches tall.
A groblin. And
Dwarflin.
she, I'm not even sure the logistics of a half dwarf, half goblin.
It's
but
best if you don't ask.
It's best if you don't ask. But between you and Gwenda, you guys are able to have a prototype done in 4.5 days. And because you figure out the process, assuming that the prototype works, you're fairly certain that you could make a lot more of these. Enough that you would be able to open up one of those tunnels if everything was going right in a matter of weeks versus the years it usually takes.
I'll return to Salaris with the prototype.
Mm-hmm.
I've done it. This is it. Careful. It can be unstable. But so long as you don't pull off the top and twist the cord inside, you should be fine.
This
It's
is
a
what will.
it's a small sphere about the size of
About the size of an apple.
about the size of an apple, and it's just a metal sphere. It looks like the cannonballs you've seen the people on the surface using, but lighter.
If you come with me to the closest excavation, I will show you. There is no one working there today.
Yeah, I'll follow.
All right. I'm like a little kid in a candy store. Like, I'm not like holding his hand and dragging him through the tunnels, but I'm like ahead of him at every corner.
Come, you must see. We must move quickly.
You run up and stop and wait, and run up and stop and wait. Yeah. Okay. You soon get to the new excavation point. It is for tunnel blue, and it's because the rock in this area is like a deep blue color. You know it runs, this part of the tunnel runs underneath an edge of a lake into the kingdom of Gar. If at its end the tunnel itself is like proposed to be like 1.5 miles long. But yeah, it's a long tunnel. But you're at the excavation point.
As we get down there, I'll pull the orb back out of my satchel.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to want to give it a little distance, and
As I look around in the cavern,
you're going to want to plug your ears.
and I'll twist off the top and grab the cord inside and give it a good rip and hurl it down towards the end of the tunnel. And then turn and dash the other way and get behind some rocks.
That's what you see. You see him do something with his hands with it, and then throw it towards the edge of the excavation, and then run.
Yeah, I run with him.
Okay. You guys make it back behind some fairly large boulders, and you can hear Cibo counting. and he gets to 0, and nothing happens.
I'll peek my head up over the top of the rock.
Is it supposed to be this quiet? That would actually really help with the raid. All the earth moving and then
Boom! There's a loud thunder wrecking this entire tunnel. You guys are covered with dirt and small stones. For a second, you think it's a cave-in because that's what you're familiar with this level of sound and this level of debris. And you can't hear each other.
Mop,
Everything has went
mop,
so quiet. Yeah.
mop.
You can see Cibo's lips moving, but all you hear is this high-pitched whine. And Cibo, what are you doing?
The first thing I'm doing is scrambling to see if Salaris is there. And then once I confirm that he is in a single piece, then I will peek back up over the rock and see what Leviathan we have summoned from hell with that explosion.
So, first couple of things you notice, your hearing is starting to come back, and you hear shouts and cries of goblins running up the tunnel towards you because you warned no one that this was going to happen. And so there are rescue.
No. I said when we were talking, I said nobody was working down there.
No. Right, no one is working, but goblin rescuers and the people who check on these excavations are running to make sure, one, that the tunnel hasn't collapsed and hurt someone, and two, that no one is, because excavations happen, and while no one's working down here, kids gonna be kids, right? So there's just a bunch of people yelling because they heard what sounded like the largest cave-in they've ever known, and so they're all running.
It's not that I threw the bomb into this group of people. It's that they're coming to respond to the explosion.
They're responding to the explosion, and as you stand up, there is a huge opening, much larger than you would have expected, open in this tunnel now. You guys have seen tunnels, though. You've even helped dig tunnels in your lives up to this point. And you did it with one grenade, probably 3 weeks worth of work.
So, as I stand up and realize this, and I see what this creation has done, it's pretty much just cartwheels around the tunnel.
I told you, Salaris. I told you I would do it. Look at what I have created for you, for all of us.
I'm just standing there looking out at this crater just in awe, and then I just like Cibo's running around celebrating, and I just like quietly say to him, I need more. How much more can you bring me?
I made one work with the supplies. It is a simple enough process. You shall have more, Salaris.
And then I'll go okay, cool. I'm gonna get more. And then I walk out to, I guess, the first responders and just start calming them down.
At this point, the Goblin King is mostly a figurehead. He hardly ever leaves the throne room. He mostly just eats the spoils of war that are brought back to him. It is no surprising, or it's not surprising, or it's not surprising that you, Solaris, already have kind of a following amongst the elders, and the just the goblins all around, and you see this new technology for what its possibilities are very easily. We moved to several months later, and Cibo has become obsessed. Your lab area is no longer also where you live. There's been a cavern deep, deep in the ground because it's safer and removed from more of the populace. But it's also larger and more airy, so that the normal smoke and the normal chemical reactions and stuff that you're working with don't choke you out or choke out goblins that just happen to be walking by. And
Okay.
this is where we find you on the day of the next big raid. You know that the tunnel went much faster than even you had thought. Solaris, who for a long time has been known as a warrior, a great strategist, is also now known as kind of a mining expert. And it's heavily because of you. People know that, but because of his use of your genius, there is no doubt in most people's minds where he will be in just a couple short years. Which just means that you'll have more opportunities to research, experiment, and perfect.
Blow things up.
Yeah, a little bit.
But first you don't succeed, you blow it up again.
You're still expected to provide the potions and the healing that you can, but these grenades, these ever-increasing numbers and yield grenades, are also very, very useful. And so we find you here in your larger laboratory, beneath the dungeons, which are mostly empty, working on your next foray into explosive mining. We pull through earth, stone, tunnels, excited goblins, more earth, out to the kingdom of Gar, and a small building. It is a outcrop building, mostly used for storage, like a warehouse, and it is burning. There is fire pouring out the windows. It is a mostly wood and thatch building, so it went up fast. And pouring out the backside of it is a small goblin force. Normal raids are done in force and en masse. This is a much smaller force, and they are making their way around the back of another building to the side. A fairly normal looking building. It looks like the buildings around it, mostly wood, some stone. Though, if one were to look a little bit more closely, there's more stone here. And liquid poured stone, as if someone wanted to strengthen this structure a lot more than normal. Maybe one or two of the people sitting out front aren't just neighborhood grandpas. They have weapons that they're too quick to put hand on. And the goblins seek within that building. At their head is Solaris. Solaris, through watching and scouting, you have found that this is one of the 9 vaults of Gar. It looks like a small warehouse, about the size of, normal 2-story house, which is pretty prevalent in this area, Gar. But the guards, how heavy it is. You even dug around parts of the bottom just to see what the flooring was, and it's thick. It's about 4 feet thick of concrete. And it was enough that you were worried blowing up underneath it using these new grenades might damage you and the goods. So you instead decided to take a different tact. Go lay down. Go lay down, buddy.
So,
Don't speak to Salaris like that, sir.
no. I start silently telling them to like fan out and like secure a perimeter around the area, so we can start getting more of our forces through.
Okay. You nice, Travis. You spread out, and you see that even the people who you were pretty sure were guards on this location, are moving to the other building, the building that's on fire. And you spread out and start looking at different areas, and you realize that the outside of this building too is made of wood, and on the second story it looks like the windows aren't barred like the first story is.
All right. I set lookouts, and then I had take a small team to go check this out.
You take 3 other.
I like things that are unlocked.
you with 3 other goblins, you make your way up scaling the side of the building, and you pop into that window that you see. You kind of lever it open and drop in. And this second story has mostly paintings. You haven't really seen many, and it's a bunch of humans painting humans. You're not sure why they would even want to do that. But it's paintings and clay pots and what they might call artwork, but some of this stuff is usable, so you're not sure why they're not using it, right? It's a clay jug, and yes, it's shaped like a shapely human woman, but it's still a clay jug.
Right.
I like how he was holding his hand up,
I know.
and then it looked like he was holding Naomi in his hand, describing his jar shaped like a woman. Like, amazing.
So you make your way in there, and you can see that there are stairs to the left that go down to the first story, and you do the goblin peak, which is one of those really careful peaks that starts with your ear, so you'll be able to hear anything, and then eventually you get your big giant eye around the corner, and you see that it you see that there's no one down here, and it's just stacks and stacks of chests. The ones that are open, you can see that there is that shiny gold and jewels that, while maybe not required, are definitely wanted. But there's no way. You might be able to take a handful of bags, right? If you brought bags. And you have a couple bags, but they're going to be super heavy if you fill them up. There's no way to pull out these chests without being seen. Unless you
Blew up the floor underneath. All right, I'm gonna bring in Steve. Like, is Cibo like available to bring in?
Yeah. You just have to send messages back, yeah.
I need Cibo up here so that way he can because I can figure out how this plan can work, but he needs to be up here to like make the like detail work happen, which is like find load bearing pieces of structure and like blow those up.
Mm-hmm. So
without destroying everything inside.
a runner is sent to fetch you, Cibo. He is a young, wiry goblin that is almost made for the task. He's quick on his feet, and he gets you fairly quickly that Solaris needs you, and he's currently on the raid.
I will grab my gear and a satchel of bombs and head out. Is the runner coming with me, or do I know where I need to be?
He told you where you needed to be.
Okay. I'll start headed that way. Was I expecting this, or is this like a new development?
This is a new development. Yeah, you
Okay.
were planning on spending the full day down in your lab.
Okay. Yeah, I'll head up there and try to get there as quickly as possible.
You made your way there, and you're waiting for a little while, Solaris, but eventually Cibo makes his way, and two of your scouts help him up through the window. It's like pushing you up through the window, Cibo, because you're not really made for the scouting climb, and you collapse into the window with kind of a ruckus, but there's not really anybody to hear it.
You always bring us to the nicest places, Salazar. What is the issue?
I want this whole tower to sink.
Straight into the earth.
Yes.
Dan, what do I know about this region? Do I know this to be, is it cavernous, or is it something where I'm going to have to create like a directional blast to just sink this whole thing?
A little of both. Under normal circumstances, if you were going to do this without explosives, it would take a long time to dig up underneath it and dig the area so that it could collapse down, like sink into the ground. With explosives, you're going to have to be a lot more careful, and you're going to need something a lot bigger.
So what I'm thinking is have some of our goblins dig blast chutes at the corners of the structure, and I'm using a mechanic from Spire of Secrets that says I can remove powder from a blast to minimize its explosion. And basically what I want to do is create 4 separate tubes of controlled explosive blasts to destabilize the earth around the base of the structure and sink it.
Okay. With the bombs you currently have, that's going to take quite a bit. Because they're much smaller.
Okay. How many did this raiding party bring with it?
So not very many, because they were under your last planning suggestion, which was explosions are to be used for mining. The grenades are an indiscriminate weapon.
Right.
And so you have been pretty close-knit and conscious about not having them be a weapon. They're a tool.
not having them be a universal weapon for everybody.
Yeah. And that has been a point of conversation many a night between you and Solaris. If you have tools, every tool is a weapon.
Every tool is a weapon, right?
Maybe not to be used indiscriminately, but...
Do I know if this region has access to sulfur?
Yes.
Have your men gather as much sulfur as they can find. Everyone you can spare. I'm going to need Well, I'm going to need a lot.
Yeah, if it means that I can get even more than what I planned for, then I'm gonna go for it.
Okay.
So he'll have what he needs. Do I have to roll anything to like be like? Oh, I guess we need to like protect the area too.
So,
Nope, I'm gonna give him everything.
how long do you think this is going to take, Cibo?
I don't you know that better than me?
I'm asking you because this is all fluff. This is a backstory.
So the idea that I'm working with here is instead then basically just hacking the explosives tighter in the bombs
Okay.
so that each one creates a stronger yield and is just a little less stable so that it more readily ignites when the process begins. Is there a cave under this structure?
We're gonna say yeah. It's a little bit deeper, but yes.
Do we have access to it?
You can. You'll have to
If we
mine to it.
destabilize the cavern underneath the building, may make it easier to collapse the structure. The less reinforcement there is, the easier it will be to just bring the entire thing underground. And no one dares come down there for it. You know that better than I.
Looking around at this conversation's happening in the like open chat, like amongst the open chests and the gold.
Yeah.
And
You and I are probably talking about it aside from the squad.
Okay. Then I'm just imagining walking amongst all that, and I'm like, yeah, no, you have it. Whatever makes this happen faster. Yes.
So you.
I'll turn to how many did you say were in the squad?
There were 3 that came with him here, but there's several still down scouting. Just making sure that nobody comes rushing back because people are trying to put out the fire that was set in the other warehouse. But you guys can make your way back because either way, this is going to take a little bit of time.
Yeah.
So
that's what. So
you mark this building definitely on the map, and make sure to get good spatial location for it, counting your steps back to the entrance to the tunnel, and you make your way back down into the tunnels to start preparations.
Okay.
It is the normal goblins were expecting more of a payday more quickly for this raid. When this raid to you, Solaris, was always more of a scouting raid to find something that was more than a handful of silver and a baked ham.
Yeah.
For you, this was about setting you guys up for something bigger. But still, there's a little bit of argument in the ranks for what this is. They were still able to grab some food, a couple barrels of rice and vegetables, but nothing big and steady that they would have expected. Cibo, you begin work immediately. You're given kind of access to a couple different chemicals now that you're looking for them and you know what you're looking for. There was no point in keeping some of this nearby to taint your work, but
Mhm.
knowing that you now need sulfur, that you need some of these other things, that's what the other goblins are bringing to you. And as word is spread of kind of what the plan is, there are many goblins that are excited just because it's something that hasn't been done before. And in the next 2 weeks that this is being prepped, the king dies. It looks natural. I mean, as natural as a very large goblin king dying can be, but nobody really looks that closely. And he is drugged ceremoniously and ritualistically to the oubliette pit. This dark tunnel that drops straight down into the bowels of chaos. At least that's what the story is. And just as the rituals have it, he is wrapped in his favorite clothing. He's wrapped in his favorite objects that don't have value, that don't have like actual intrinsic value. Intrinsic value? Yeah. And he is rolled over the edge and into the pit, disappearing into the darkness. There is no sound when and if he hits the bottom. But it leaves an opening. And it is usually several days to weeks to months for the elders to agree on the next person who takes over. It very seldom is one of the same king's line. That kind of nepotism causes problems in the ranks. And unsurprisingly, as mentioned previously, Solaris is a shoo-in and becomes the next Goblin King. He has been talking a big game and answering to that game. And so the elders have a beautiful ceremony where he is crowned the Bone Crown. A painful, sharp crown that you very seldom have to wear. Cibo. While this happens, you show up to the ceremony. You show up to both ceremonies. But other than that, you're heavy at work doing calculations, doing creations, experiments, and through your new experimenting, you realize your yield with the math that you have written down. Again, you're not sure where it came from. You could make things where the yield is far stronger than what you have been producing with your grenades, given the objects that you have. Order of magnitude stronger.
Okay. I start modifying my notes, and do I still have assistants, or have I blown them up?
You have 2 that are willing to work with you.
Okay.
From 8 in the beginning.
I will send one with orders to the forge and a hollow bombshell, and tell him to have the blacksmith triple the size of the device or the shell and forge that and send it back to me. I will send the other for more internals, but through my research, I'm sure that ingredient list is expanded a little bit, so I'm going to make sure that he gets additional ingredients for some of the less stable elements for the explosives.
Okay.
And remind him to be careful.
Solaris, as Cibo is making these recommendations, you have a lot more on your plate now than you did before, but still not so much that you're not getting these requests and requests for labor and requests for other resources that cross your desk. Um, some goblin colonies, logistics aren't a thing, right? They're kind of chaos incarnate, and they move about as if randomly spun. Um, that isn't the case, especially since you've taken over. And you see requests, like, for example, a sphere, a large sphere, that is actually requested to be even larger to be sent down. Now, you had talked to him, and he did say that the bombs were going to have to be bigger to lower that tower, but that's a large sphere, and only one of them. Cibo, as promised, your requests do show up. The Forge Masters build the sphere to the size that you need. The amount and types of chemicals and minerals and hazardous agents arrive carefully and usually wrapped very well.
Okay, so I while I have been waiting for this to happen, I have taken several of the smaller bombs and removed the contents and repacked them in a way that kind of shapes the charges.
Mm-hmm.
And when the larger shell arrives, before I seal the shell, I pack it with the individual shape charges so that they're all kind of pointing out in different directions. And then in the center, I just put in one basically like overpacked or overpressured explosive, and then I seal it. So now it's a shaped cluster charge that will displace even more earth than the core explosion.
Yeah. So I'm picturing something the size of a basketball.
That's about what I was working with.
Okay.
Yep.
It is late in the day, after you complete your work, that two very large goblins, probably, I mean, they're almost small bugbears.
They're Norse goblins.
Their skin, normally green and smooth, is covered with almost like a bumpy armor. I'm trying to describe it. Their skin has more of a leathery texture. And while you are, how tall are you, Cibo?
Did I put that on here? Hang on. Just shy of 3.5 feet tall. 3'4".
So you are about 3.5 feet tall. Solaris is about 4 feet tall. These goblins are closer to 5.5, and they're built. They might be half troll, you don't know, but they're huge. They walk in with a very serious look on their face, and behind them is Solaris. You had heard that he chose bodyguards to help protect him from another tribe, because sometimes the inner workings of a tribe can lead to that king's demise. But you hadn't seen them yet, and you're not sure where these goblins are from or if they are in fact goblins, but they do have the same shape.
Okay.
There's something I can do for you, Solaris, and your company.
They're here. Some of them are here to keep you safe. if they're gonna come after me, they're probably gonna come after you as well. And I'm gonna just nod, and a couple of those new goblins will secure all the entrances into this area.
Okay. They move near silent, and as they move past you, Cibo, you get the smell of almost like an earthy peat moss. As they move past you, they have these strange looking blades that are far more curved than any of the swords that you've seen strapped to their backs. And when they move past you, even walking through normal walkways, the goblins of your tribe nod, with respect, or hey, how's it going? These ones don't even seem to see you as they follow the direction of the king to stand in the doorways. There are three that leave this large cavernous space, and there are at least one of these goblins standing at each exit.
Are they to keep others out or me in, Salaris?
They're to keep you safe, Cibo. And when I say you, I like just for like a second look at like the plans of the bombs.
Right.
Well, I have your new device. In fact, I just finished it. You'll be pleased to know that your tower will be claimed shortly. So long as the first charge works, I can engineer more. Will only take me a few hours at best, if the prototype works as I expect it to.
Good. And I'm looking over like the paperwork and kind of doing the numbers in my head, like that tower, like there's a moment where I kind of like start spending the gold in my mind. It's like, good Cibo. This is gonna change things for us. For us. Yeah. And I'm just looking at the device and like I start again drifting off to like, oh, I'm gonna be king. I'm gonna do some yeah. And with like this, I can get things done.
The largest of the swamp goblins walks over at your request, Celeris, and picks up gingerly the basketball-sized bomb and carries it in front of him as if it were like a brand new baby. But there isn't a moment of fear on that face. You're not sure what made these swamp goblins the way they are, but they are completely emotionless as they grasp this very powerful weapon and walk to stand behind you, Solaris.
Well, I'm got what I came for. Guess I shouldn't keep you from your work. Thank you, Cibo.
I will let you know when the rest of them are finished, Salaris.
You can just let one of them know. And that message will get.
Understood.
And I will return to what I was doing.
Yep. They become your constant companions. Though I use that term lightly. Companions show companionship. And these swamp goblins do anything but. You are down working on your items. Your assistant, one now, which has been vetted carefully and still half the time isn't allowed into your chamber, brings you food, and when she feels that the swamp goblins aren't fully paying attention, she whispers rumors, information from the outside, but that becomes your only information that you're getting is from Gwenda. Love you, bud. Um, Solaris. You follow the directions. You have had goblin miners clearing that cavern below. You've had them building the scaffolding so that you can place the bomb as close as possible to the top of that cavern, the center of the top of that cavern, just as Cibo instructed. And you even selected one of your own to be the one that pulls the pin, because everyone knows that's a dangerous job. But you do care about your people, and you do make sure that he has a slide that can get him out of there from the scaffolding as quickly as possible once he pulls that pin.
So I got a question.
Yep.
Is it possible? Like, how is the rival? Like, I know, like, I have guards.
Mhm.
And I'm guessing that goblins would probably just murder me in the street. But like, is it meant to be that bloody, or is there a bit of like subterfuge to it? Where like, could I have like a rival? Like invite a rival to be the one that pulls the cord because it's a dangerous job, but it's also like it's something, it's like a position of trust because you have to trust that goblin's gonna make sure the bomb goes off.
So I should have asked your thoughts on this before I went ahead, because that's a very valid point. Yes, there are people just like you were kind of a shoe-in to be the next king. There's already goblins shooing for your position, right? And while they may not strike you in the open, there's plenty of subtlety in politics. No one really knows what happened to the last Goblin King.
Is it safe to say the Goblin Society, as we experience it in this game, is keep what you kill?
So this Goblin Society is different than many Goblin Societies I usually run or that I already have planned in the campaign.
Okay.
This one is, yes, kind of like that. Kind of. If someone were to have straight up assassinated the last Goblin King, that doesn't necessarily mean that they become the new king. If, like Cibo, if you had killed the last Goblin King, then Solaris probably still would have ended up being the next king. Because he had put himself, he had done the right things in the right order and shook hands with the right people to be like the next in line. Like people wanted him to be the next in line.
Okay.
So there are political rivals, which I think was your question, right?
Right, but could I? Is this the kind of society where I could invite my my competition to be the one that pulls the cord?
Oh yeah. Well, because
And then I'm gonna do that.
in all reality for this, well, in all fantasy for this, you're gonna get to choose who's doing that anyway, and you're the king. And most of these upstarts are soldiers and politicians. I mean, not really politicians, but they're essentially people that have to follow your commands anyway. But you can absolutely pick one of them and say, I'm giving you the honor of being the person that sets all of this off.
Yeah, I want to do that to whoever like my chief rival is, and then figure out a way to like sabotage it in a way that it still goes off, but kills him in the process.
So, you were there when they were constructing the scaffolding. You were there when they constructed the slide. And you were there when you kind of undid parts of the slide so that when the scaffolding is climbed, that slide's not going to stay there anymore. So he doesn't have an escape. Not an easy escape or a quick escape. But who can blame you? I mean, the explosion's going to do a lot of damage. You're sure that that slide was built the right way. You trust your engineers.
Yeah, I'll go with that. Yeah, let's do that.
So it comes to the day, and the bomb is set up, and Shino Ross, you're kind of fourth in command, but rising through the ranks quickly, has been selected to pull that pin. And he, there's a big show of it. He was selected. It's a great honor. There's music that's being played as he's climbing up the scaffolding, and then everyone clears the heck out. They've seen what happens with Cibo's majestic explosions. They know what the damage could be, and so they clear out. You have one guard that is wearing huge earmuffs, like 4 or 5 times larger than they need to be, that is keeping an eye on the bomb, and in turn on Shyness as well, to make sure that the explosion actually happens, everything happens the way it needs to, and he's actually one of your fastest runners, so that he can get out of there as quickly as possible too. But you have to have eyes on, right? Any good leader is going to. And Shyness hits the button, or pulls the core out, hits the button, pushes the core back in, and again, just like that first eventful meeting, you also have headphones on, or earphones on, but you are quite a ways back, and you're counting, and you're counting, and it's like nothing happens. And then, the loudest sound you've ever heard rocks the entire goblin settlement. You can hear cave-ins all over the hive of this goblin community as the Justin, as the walls shake, as destruction rains down everywhere. There are homes that are crushed, there are areas, but luckily everyone was all huddled together in one of the large common areas. But this bomb was a lot larger than you expected. Much larger. And as the dust settles, and you make your way up there looking for, where's Shyness? Did he make it out? Is he okay? Cibo. The bomb that went off, you should have been able to hear the echo of, but not feel. You felt that one. It was hard not to, and you are one of the lowest rooms in the most safe areas of the caverns, and you felt it. There was a pressure wave that came down the shaft to where you are that actually blew a couple of the swamp goblins over before they showed their first emotion to you, which was confusion, as they stood back up to take their guard.
Are they, once they shake it off, are they pretty much right back to being alert?
They are probably more wary than they were before. They're actually looking around the room and looking at each other, like trying to figure out what just happened. But they're not saying anything, and they're not looking at you. Gwenda, who was sleeping on a rack down in the bottom, like around the corner, is running around the corner, super scared. She has no idea what just happened.
You said she's younger.
She's much younger. Yeah, she's probably around the age you were when you first started this whole path. And she's been around a lot of your explosions, so she shouldn't be super shocked. You know exactly what it was. It's just you shouldn't have been able to feel it.
It is all right, little one. That was unexpected from my work, but it seems we are still safe for the moment.
She looks around and is shaky, but she goes to grab a water pitcher and fills up 2 glasses and brings 1 glass to you as she shakily drinks hers. Solaris, you are making your way back towards Ground Zero. You pass 2 of the older shafts that aren't really used this anymore for anything but storage. They have been completely collapsed in. As you make your way into the cavern, for a moment you're in a little bit of shock because you can see light. Up above, far up above, is a round portal of light coming in from where this tower collapsed in. The tower itself looks almost untouched. It's definitely taken damage, as one would expect from it sliding down however many 100 feet, but it looks pretty much undamaged. However, give me a perception check, which is +2, I think is what we said.
Oh, I rolled a 1.
There's a lot of dust and clutter and cave-in, but from that shaped explosion, even here you can tell that it was much bigger and did much more damage up top than you expected or thought it would. I mean, obviously, the Kingdom of God was going to notice one of their buildings was not there anymore, especially one of the 9 vaults, right? But the way it was supposed to have happened was it would collapse in, and then there would just be like dirt and rocks there. But you can actually see light.
Yeah. I'm gonna check the vault and the contents if everything's okay in there. That's a second. Like now that this is now, I need to make sure like the thing that I've promised.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can, yeah.
Goblins are starting to follow you into this room, and the building is not a small building. The tower is not a small tower. It's 2 stories tall, but it's shaped with flat sides. As you make your way in, you can see that the concrete floor is still a concrete floor. Like that poured stone floor is still a poured stone floor. As you're walking up to it, you can actually see the foundation, right? You can see the 4 foot of stone that was underneath it. And as you make your way up and pry open one of the doors, it looks like, while messy, because stuff moved and broke, everything that was in there is still in there. You're pretty sure probably the jug upstairs broke, and the paintings probably got a little damaged, and some of these chests have been straight up destroyed, but the contents have just spilled out all over the floor.
Okay. Do I have any of those swamp goblins with me?
Oh yeah.
And then how many entrances are into the vault?
There
Like
is
like 1 or 2.
let's say 2. Let's say 2. 2 on this floor.
Yeah, I have them guard this place and like immediately like secure this as mine before
Okay.
the other goblins get here.
Okay.
And this is what I wanted. So
Do you are you going upstairs to check the stuff upstairs? The paintings and the...
Nah, that was all junk.
Okay.
That's just humans painting humans. It's just whatever. But like securing because it's such a it's a little fortress, so I want to start this is gonna be now my headquarters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I want to just secure that. And now that I have this, I'd like to make sure that this tech just stays secure in my hands.
Yeah. Yeah. It definitely feels that way. And also, something that's kind of hitting you now is this is what one of these bombs was able to do. Think about what several of these could do, or a larger one.
His assistant, do I feel like she could do this without him?
I mean, she's been watching him a lot for the past probably year and a half. She's been like at his side almost every day. And she's pretty quick. Like she's pretty smart. Not as smart as Cibo, but
So I want to enact the other part of this plan that you don't know about that I'm making up right now. And have the swamp goblins take her away from Cibo.
Okay.
And I want to see if she can do this as well as he can without him.
Okay. All right. So as you are setting up shop, and you're having the goblins coming in, and they are they are rebuilding, covering up that hole above the tower, right? And kind of resurfacing so that if the humans come and look, they'll just see a big hole, like maybe there's a cave in or something. They will be working on that, and you send a couple of the swamp goblins down with a message. Cibo, the swamp goblins move aside, and there's one of them that you've known for a while that well, you haven't known him for a while, but you've seen him, and he has a pauldron, and that pauldron has a device on it that lets you know that he's kind of the lead swamp goblin.
Okay.
He shows up with a message, and it's essentially there's something that the king wants of Gwenda. And she's supposed to grab her bags and go and talk to the king.
Okay. I will give her some supplies and just tell her
remember everything that you have been taught, and you will do well. Whatever the king wants is surely because of your talents. But be wary. Do not let those above you abuse you for your talents.
I'll try. Okay. And
May our paths cross again, little one. You be safe. Until then.
You too. And she packs her bag and rolls up the small blanket pack that she had, and she sets out, being flanked by two of the swamp goblins.
Okay. I watch her go, and I'm kind of thinking about the situation that I'm in, and I'm starting to kind of put together a plan.
Okay. You put her in the smaller laboratory, Solaris. You put her in the smaller laboratory that you've already prepared off one of this older side tunnels. You've provided her all of the same chemicals and same type of devices. You had a lot of the Forge Masters and stuff building, and you kind of provided her with all of the same stuff, the same amounts that Cibo has been working with, and she and you leave her there to her own devices, being watched over by some of the swamp trolls, and yeah, okay. So
Is
yes.
go ahead.
So she's not sure what you're requesting of her.
I want her to make one of his like mid-sized bombs and see if she can do it without him there. Like I need her to do the same work, make the same like I want to show me you can replicate everything.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Travis, do you have a D20 in front of you?
I can have it in just a second. All right.
Can I have you roll a D20 and add 3?
15.
She's able to kind of build it, but blows up the lab. So she is not injured, but it is not a it's not a full success. It's a partial success. You don't know if maybe she's not working off the same information. She's not working off of the same equations. She's trying to replicate because of what she watched, but you also know that for a long time, Cibo has written not necessarily in a language you don't know, but in a way that you don't recognize. Hey, kitty.
There's I need to pull the book. I need a wizard. Oh my god, there's a cat.
Why in the hell is Quinn at your house?
Is it? I know there's a spell that lets you like read people's stuff.
Oh, you want to use like yeah.
Like tongues or something like that. What's it? Understanding.
Comprehend language.
Comprehend language. Yeah. So I'm sure there's like a court wizard or something, right?
There is like a that strange shaman I talked about earlier that kind of lives on the outskirts, closer to the surface. She can cast some spells. You also have a couple elementalists that focus mostly in like elemental damages and elemental spells, but
Mhm.
they might have that.
You're gonna have a swamp goblin take the plans that Cibo had that we had the assistant make. I want those plans. Her to write down what she did, and then one of the swamp goblins to take like the original, and then we're gonna take that to this wizard on the outskirts and see what we can find out.
Take the original, like, from Cibo?
Yes.
Okay. Cibo,
Mhm.
you are sleeping. And once again, you find yourself on the plane of fire. And around you are wisps. They aren't the strong elementals that you saw once years and years ago. These are thinner, more subtle. If they are fire,
Emaciated or
no, they're more like they aren't damaged. They aren't lesser. They're more subtle.
okay.
Thinking on it, now that you've experienced some of it, some flame burns clear. And you think that may be what these things are. They present almost like a mirage on sand. You've never seen it, but you've heard of it. And they are like waves of energy in front of you that are boiling hot. You can feel the heat coming off of them. It's not damaging, but you can feel it. And hovering in that center space are two glowing bright blue eyes, and there are several of them surrounding you, whispering to you. Where once you saw the kingdom of Gar in gold and then destroyed, you're seeing a 3D representation of like the inverse of the goblin caves of your entire clan. So if I took like, you know, silver and I poured it into an anthill and I dug that up,
Oh, I can see like a 3D
yeah,
rendering of the entire hive.
yes. And you get the essence of it being surrounded by soil, dirt, rock, but you're seeing the tunnels. And then you see what looks like an explosion. An explosion that grows into a giant mushroom. A mushroom made of heat and ash, smoke, massive amounts of energy. And it's pushing across you again, across this flaming field of fire and liquid fire, and burns you this time, where before you were pushed out of the dream by these concussive blasts. You can feel your skin, your meat, your bones all burn away. And you wake up to hear rifling, someone rifling through your stuff. There is a swamp goblin, again stealthy on their feet, standing 3 feet away from you. He doesn't seem to be aggressive, but he is blocking your view to your table, to your books, your collection of drawings, your instructions, recipes. It seems, through sound, because you are a goblin after all, that someone is collecting your work.
I'll sit up. I'll sit up from where I'm sleeping.
Those are my notes. I cannot work without them.
Your king demands it of you. This is the first time you've ever heard them talk, and it's a deep and gravelly voice. You're not sure what you were expecting, but you've been in their area with them for weeks, and they haven't said anything.
Where are you taking it?
To be protected
Is there some place that is safer than where we are right now?
Plenty safer. You are safe. These need safer.
A copy must remain here, or Salaris will not get the things that he has requested of me.
You can see their minds working. And the large swamp goblin pauses from his collections and says, "You must be quick." And he sets the pile of papers back down on the desk.
Okay. I will actually I'll sit down and start transcribing the notes onto another scroll.
Once they see you begin actually transcribing the stuff, they'll move back to their positions at the doors.
And while they're doing that, I'm both going to pen the new notes and fill in gaps and stuff in the existing notes. But this time I will be using unstable ink.
Okay.
So that the scroll and the book, if they're not properly maintained, they will dissolve to ash.
Okay.
And then once that is done, I will roll up the scroll with the notes and put my own stuff in like a lockbox and give one of the swamp goblins the parchments.
That is everything Salaris will need.
He nods and, without thanks or otherwise, picks up the large stack of scrolls and books that you indicated and removes them and leaves. This leaves one of the exits kind of open, but one of the two guards moves between the two closer exits. So you're
Okay.
fairly certain he could probably still get there before you'd be able to leave.
Okay.
Solaris. One of the swamp goblins reports to you that he has brought all of the original documents you requested, and he has taken them to the new lab, which is more like a temporary lab set up for Gwenda. Though she is hesitant to continue building. It seems that she thinks you might do something to Cibo if she's able to succeed. And you're on mute. I do that a lot.
Right. Yeah, I know. I do it all the time. All right. I'm going to reassure her that if she doesn't continue, if she fails, I can't guarantee his safety.
She, okay. You're not sure if she took that the way you meant it or if she took that differently, but she seems to have taken that as a possible threat and continues her work.
Good.
In the meantime, as all of this has been happening, you sent scouts back out to Gaul to see what the damage outside was done around the tower, and were slightly shocked at the results. when you had talked to Cibo about how much explosive was going to happen and what it was going to do, um, this is my butthole, Jim.
I know she wanted attention, so
Yeah. Same thing was happening to Naomi, and then it was getting fur all over her face. It was really funny.
Not only that, but then she got mad at me, hissed at me, bit me, and then ran away.
I took that completely the
I
wrong
get it.
way.
You meant the cat was doing
Yeah,
it to Naomi.
I realized the cat was doing that to Naomi, not Naomi doing that to you. I got it now.
Wait, is that an option?
What?
Anyway, you sent scouts to the surface, and they report that while you had talked to Cibo, and Cibo was assuring you that it would just be the tower, and you getting rid of the area under the tower to bring the tower straight down, it is a very large crater. Like taking out possibly a neighborhood crater. And that kind of power in the right hands, you could end the war.
Mm-hmm.
More power, and you could end the war even faster and possibly still retain all of the treasures of Char.
But I could do with what I have. Yeah, I think we're gonna we need to see if the assistant can make the bomb. And then that'll determine whether or not we still need Cibo.
Mm-hmm. So, Travis, give me 2 d20s and tell me the lowest, please. Like, roll with disadvantage.
12.
You have given her the documents with copies of the documents. You've given her all of the resources Cibo had. She has had training from Cibo himself. And so it's a little shocking when early one morning there is an explosion. And not quite as strong as the shape charge that brought the tower down, but much stronger than you would have expected for what you were asking.
Mm-hmm.
Several of the older shafts that you had her placed in have collapsed in on themselves. There was a huge explosion, and that entire section of the commune of the goblin hive is no more.
Mm-hmm. Is she still alive? Or is she dead?
You send in goblin rescuers and miners to help clear out the excavated tunnels, but it's about 2 days worth of work to find out that she was at the center of the explosion. She did not make it.
Mm. Yes. Storm into that. Into the workshop.
Mm-hmm.
And just shouts like, why can't we replicate your work? What are you withholding?
Me? That is why you took my apprentice. You wanted her to create my creations. Why? So you could get rid of me. Am I that much of a threat to you? I have done everything to help you. And now you want to come in here and demand of me after murdering my assistant. You have
worked off
lost
of
sight of
your
what it means to be a
recipes.
goblin.
She worked off of your recipes. If she died, it was your fault. You trained her.
You chose to take advantage of a child. For what, Celeris? You would let that child die with something she barely understood, and then you want to come and lay it at my feet. How dare you?
I'm gonna like straighten a couple of things on like the workshop desk. Just like regaining my composure. I will send you new assistants to train. Make sure that these do not fail. And then I'm gonna leave.
I will set about my work and I will pull out the notes for something that I'll pull some notes out of the books that I have
Mm-hmm.
for a bomb that I had scribbled down on the back of a sheet of music that I took off of a dead guard.
Mm-hmm.
And all it said across the top was magnum opus. And I'll start reviewing those notes and putting together the formulas.
Okay. As you begin work again, you are given 4 relatively swift-thinking goblins. They aren't at all close to what Gwenda had been, but they are, you can tell, the brightest that Solaris could find. Solaris, the explosions and collapsing of these tunnels has cost you, and it has cost you dearly. There is rumblings in the hovel, in this goblin area, that perhaps you're not safe, and perhaps you aren't making decisions that are safe for everyone. Perhaps the raids that you are pushing are more dangerous, like the prep for it is more dangerous. And you get an idea that maybe you're keeping too much close to the vest. Maybe if you had him build a larger or special bomb, that you could, or at least start research on it, that you could use to help get them back on your side. You could show it off, have a speech, explain to them what you've been trying to do and how you've been trying to change how the rating is done. Maybe it would bring them back. You know, maybe it would help cement your role. You know that you've given him the resources he needs, but this thing, this one last thing, or this, if he can design this for you, maybe it will be enough.
I reassure the goblins like sorry. That our raids were always dangerous, and that with these devices we can do greater things with fewer casualties, and that this is just an unfortunate accident on the way to even bigger successes. Can I roll some sort of like
Yeah.
deception persuasion?
Roll
Not
some.
really lying.
roll a persuasion, and we're gonna give you a +4.
Then that would be a 21.
Nice. Those talks seem to soothe a large portion of them. They believe in your strategies and your tactics, and so they think that that's probably you're probably right. This is just anytime there's change, there's going to be some stuff that happens, some chaos that happens, and so this is probably just more of that. And so as you are preparing, you do know that these next raids, the areas that you are heading towards, they're going to require more. They're going to require more goblins. They're going to require more bombs. They're going to require more than you have asked of your people before. Yeah. And it may help having something to show them, right? So that they're not scared of the unknown. If they have, even if it's not a real bomb, if it's just a casing or something, so that you are showing them all at once, it's nothing to fear, you know? It's controllable.
Yeah, I'm gonna demand that Cibo work, like, kind of put like a schedule on him to be like almost around the clock to get this produced as quickly as possible. And I'd like to use the swamp goblins to start quieting any dissenters.
Okay. They become kind of your brute squad, and start listening from the shadows to halt or report when people are kind of bad mouthing you, and that quiets up a lot. But it also means that it's much more of a dictator state. So where goblins used to make goblin noise, a lot of times now, it's a lot quieter. There isn't as much tomfoolery going on. Cibo,
Art.
what you up to?
So I have gone myself. Actually, no, I haven't. I sent one of my assistants to the forge to request a job in glazing. I asked him to have them make a bomb core shell out of metal and crushed glass, and then I've sent another one of my assistants for almost an unsettling amount of charge. Basically, it's the largest order that I've put in for the quarries.
Okay.
And whenever that arrives, I have created a device that I fill with those materials, seal it up, and when it's finished, it basically looks like a palantir. You can kind of see energy coursing through it. It's about the size of a basketball, but even inactive, it radiates a power. And I leave that on the center pedestal, which is kind of the like discussion point in the room. And I send word to Salazar that his request is finished. It is the greatest work that I can accomplish with the notes and the experience that I have.
All right. So now that I have this, do I have another target for a raid?
You do have another target. Well, it depends how deep into guards you want to get, but yes, you have a couple of new targets. There are a handful of other vaults that are on the outskirts, kind of like that first one was, or you could hit one of the larger vaults that's closer in.
I really want to go after one of the larger ones, but I need the win now. So we'll go after one of the smaller ones on the outskirts, just so I can start rebuilding that. Start rebuilding that momentum.
Mm-hmm. You see this new bomb, this new tool. It's brought to you, or you can go get it. It's up to you.
Chances
I'll
are
go
good
get
I
it.
told him to stay the hell out of the lab.
Do you want to? Cibo has expressed an interest in having it delivered to you. Do you want to go and pick it up?
Nope, that's what the assistants are for.
Okay.
He's
So
not allowed. He's not allowed to leave that compound.
two assistants bring this kind of beautiful glowing device to you. It doesn't look like it's made from goblin hand. Very occasionally, something will pass across your fingers, and in the king's vault, in your vault, there are a handful of things that are elvish make, or something else entirely, where there's a lot of filigree and intricate pieces that all fold together. This seems more like that. This is almost a work of art, and it glows in such a way that he has helped you prove your point better than he could have otherwise. If he had just handed you a basketball-sized metal globe, that's not a show, right? You're telling him, you see, this is what I'm bringing to the table, but it's just a metal ball, a large metal ball. This looks like a magical item. And he told you once that things whispered to him sometimes, things from someplace else, and that's where he got some of his ideas. And you kind of laughed it off until now. This might even be something to show off to the rest of the goblins to help get them pumped for the raid.
Yeah, I'll do that then. Showing it off, kind of like carrying it like in a palanquin, like holy hand grenades, style,
Yes, that's amazing.
So
and
Love
take
it,
it,
man. That's
take it
great.
like that, like just so everyone can see just how amazing this is. And having it transported like that for the raid.
okay. As you make your way down one of the newer or newest tunnels that has been dug underneath one of the closer vaults, to the Kingdom of Gar, you make your way there with the device on the palanquin, and you kind of walking ahead of it. Goblins are standing aside in awe. Like, you were right to think that this was an object, an item that would be talked about for generations, right? You picked out 4 of your shortest swamp goblins so that more people would be able to see this thing. You made a show of it. And as you make your way up to all of the goblins that are getting ready for this raiding party and move up to the front to kind of show them this wondrous device, there is a pause. Is there anything that you'd like to say to the goblins?
Um. Uh. I want them to see how far. Like I point out how like the thing. Look how far we as goblins have come under my leadership. We're no longer just raiding the pantry of a couple small hamlets. We are taking things from the surfacers. We are taking gold and even their fortresses where they keep these things. And now we've made this from bows and digging in the dirt to now we can do in a day what took us months. We are on the rise. And I'm going to plant that thing and set it off.
As you go to move and you pick it up, you hold it in front of you and you hear a series of clicks. And it starts to glow brighter, and you look across the room and you're not sure how he escaped from the lab, but you see Cibo staring at you from the back of the crowd. And you think for a moment, oh no. And there's a blinding flash of light. And the ball drops to the ground, completely inert. There is a dark spot where Solaris used to be. Immediately, as if given a command to do so, the swamp goblins jump at you, Cibo, and tackle you to the ground. There is no preamble. Everyone knows exactly what just happened, or at least they do, because they've been monitoring and watching you for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not even sure entirely what the magnum opus was, or what it did. There was nothing of your old friend left. It was him, a blinding flash globe of purplish white light that took him and the 5 swamp goblins that were around him and the palanquin. Palanquin? Palanquin. Right? Pelican? Pelican.
Palanquin, I think.
Yeah, there you go.
What, the orb?
No, the thing that he was using to carry it up there.
Oh.
Yeah, Palanquin is what usually a royalty rides around on, right? That people carry.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. His litter.
His litter.
Yeah.
His litter that was being used to carry the bomb.
Okay.
But no other damage was done. The sphere of energy that grew up to about 15 to 20 feet across, and then as if, other than a couple of black spots on the ground, they had existed at all.
As they seize me, I just kind of stand there looking. Like I don't even fight. I just have this kind of self-satisfied grin on my face.
And we go back to you, sitting at a campfire just outside your hut. Sarah, Megs, is healed. Probably the color is still a little bit off, a little bit more pale. But the other than that, she's healed up. You've even been able to like sew up her clothes, clean her up a little bit because she was in that swamp for a while. The horse is not doing too well, but it's an old horse, and you've done what you can. And you've been telling Sarah the story of the Char, the story of why.
For context, just real quick, I don't think I elaborated on that.
Okay.
Sarah, when you see Cibo and you're lucid, you do notice that along one of his cheekbones, he's got like a burn scar that goes down his cheek and then one that kind of goes around it. So it creates like a half moon with just like a slash downward through it. And I explained to you that that's a mark of exile.
And so you're telling the story. You get Sarah back up on her horse with some meager supplies, and she's able to make it back to her village. We see the other folks in the village surprised that she's alive. What would you tell the villagers of your time out across the swamp? How honest would you be? Meg.
I don't know.
Probably gobsmacked that you didn't that you didn't die because a goblin found you.
It was a mysterious hut. A hut that did have the mark of help, help or medicine on it. And in fact, you came back healed. So they are surprised that you came back at all, let alone you came back looking much better. And with a little bit of prying, they get the information from you that it is an exiled goblin. And after sending several more people out, Cibo, you find out that the village nearby, I say nearby, it's about a day's ride. It's the closest village to you. Lost.
I figured I wasn't living too close to town.
Yeah, lost their medicine woman. And so you find this out because you have been sent now 7 or 8 people nearing their deathbed or needing some kind of potion or tincture or something. And it isn't long before you're invited to show up there. And between the back and forth, you realize that this village of paleskins, of humans, tall men, they treat you with respect for your craft, at least for the potion side of your craft, for the alchemical side of your craft. And after several months of traveling back and forth and them traveling out to meet you, they ask you to move in to the old woman's hut at the edge of town. They're not asking you to become a next door neighbor, but they do want you to feel a bit more in place. And you're happy for that. It's a home away from home. It's been years since you were accepted by a tribe. And so you become one of them. You start going to dinners and engaging with them out in the street and being invited to parades and holidays.
Just for context, in those moments, I am indeed a goblin, and so the social graces that I have are slightly civilized, but it's still definitely like slam the face in the bowl and just like chew until all of the food is gone. There's no utensils or anything like that.
Nice.
So my attendance is, I suppose, always welcome, but most people are like, Did anybody teach this guy like higher level social graces? Probably not.
Okay. So, it gets to be where you never forget who or what you are, but it's sometimes a little bit easier to forget about the hard times, the times down below the ground. You can sometimes imagine that that was a dream and that that didn't actually happen to you. And one night, when you are relaxing and sleeping in a bed that was not made for someone your size, so it is a giant bed to you, you see several eyes shine in the dark in the rafters above you. And
I knew I shouldn't have drank that potion before I went to bed.
a whisper on the wind says in Goblin, with regards. And you see several swamp goblins drop from the rafters, and that's the last thing you see. Before waking up, it's sunlight, kind of, and you see that it's neither dawn nor dusk, but something of that avenue. There isn't a sun in the sky, but you're also in an unfamiliar area. There is orangish sand and stone around you, plants that almost look like swamp plants, but super dry, very, very dry, and a lot more spiny, almost dangerous looking. In the distance, you can see mountains, but they're a strange color too. They're a deep purple. You've never seen that. As you are kind of taking in your surroundings, the air smells clean, the sky above you is pocked with stars, and there's a small human child. He reminds you kind of Benny, that child that had a cough last week back in the village. But you know this isn't Benny. He has blonde hair, very bright blue eyes, and he's wearing black robes. You're not sure his age, but you probably, I mean, he's taller than you, and he's probably between 12 and almost adulthood. It's sometimes hard to tell with children.
Am I like fully lucid, or do I feel like I'm waking up from a dream, or?
It was like blinking. It was like the shift in whatever happened was between those things falling on you and you being here in the next breath. So you're completely lucid.
You there, little one. Where is this place? I am not. Where am I?
You're in between.
The things betwixt.
When is an acorn become a tree?
All right, listen, Ratatosker. Did we have a name for the town that I was in, the village?
Yes, I did. I just need to get some right notes. 1 second. Pages, pages, so many pages. Fallen. P-H-A-L.
Say it one more time.
P-H-A-L-I-N. Phalin or fallen.
Oh, fallen.
Is this not Tholin? Well, it can't be. What is this place?
This is backstage.
Backstage to what?
When does an acorn stop being an acorn?
When it sprouts. Why?
When it's no longer an acorn. And he pats you on the shoulder and then is gone in between two blinks. And you are left alone in kind of a deserty landscape. Again, you've read of it. You've read of situations or biomes like this, but you never thought you'd be able to identify it. You never thought you'd be part of it. And as you look around and look up, you see that directly above you is a constellation. It's 9 stars spread out in kind of a star pattern with several stars in between, making it almost like a pentagram with 9 points.
The burn in the blanket.
Yes.
Backstage, he says. It would still seem I have a part to play somewhere, wherever this is.
And that's where we're going to end tonight's one-shot for Cibo. I hope you guys got a feeling for who this new goblin alchemist is that is joining the ranks of our party. And I appreciate you all very much for hanging out tonight, for playing. Thank you, Megan, for volunteering. Thank you, Andres, for rocking that Goblin King.
Excellent, Salaris. That is
Yeah.
exactly what I thought.
Thank you guys very much. Go ahead, Mark. Do your thing. And if you guys can hang out afterwards, I've got some news for you.
Okay, no worries. Thank you everybody for joining us tonight. We're gonna raid out here real quick. I'm just checking who would be good to raid out to. I think we will raid out to Baby Bagel Ham. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 p.m. Pacific, 9 Central, 10 Eastern with Survival Tuesdays. We will be playing some Soul Mask as we wait for Once Human to drop in just over a month. Thank you for joining us, everybody, and I hope you have a wonderful evening. Until next time, as always, be excellent to each other, and of course, game on.
Game on.
Game on.